Okay, Aristo is with us this morning, afternoon for him. And I have we talked briefly before we started the video, but I'm not sure what he's going to talk about. So I'm just going to turn it over to him and we'll see how it flows. Go ahead, Aristo.
Well, it's 10:01 on Ron's thing, just 10:02, but I mentioned it, so that's a gateway. It's an 11 with two zeros in the middle. Over here, it's 5:01. So I don't have any idea what I'm going to talk about either, but I do have a little bit. Usually, I look at Ron's videos and try to get an idea, the latest ones, and just pick off and connect with some thoughts that have been running through. And there's been a lot of them. So I'm going to try to weave them together. I don't know if I'm going to do a good job. There's always a dilemma here if I should talk about esoteric stuff or practical secular stuff, because there's always, it seems like the audience is split in two on that. And my thing is trying to weave them together, because a lot of people are talking about, practical solutions, let's go out, do something, whatever. But these practical solutions are all matrix oriented, because you're looking at your practicality, your experience is the matrix. What else is it? So the matrix is designed to make those solutions fail. So whatever exclusively practical solution you put in, I mean, Ron can see that through the legal stuff. It's all designed to wear him down, and in the end, it's whatever they decide. So they can't break their own rules. Maybe they haven't so far because they wanted to maintain a semi-stable society. But now that they want to bring big changes, who knows? So, and of course, and Ron told me that his sleep was degraded ever since he moved into that house, and which held that miasma of the lawsuit, something that they want. They want that place. They want the probability of what Ron is doing now, in my opinion. They want the strength that he has and whatever other people see in him, which is a combination of who he is and where he is, in my honest opinion. Because Ron didn't have that kind of impact before YouTube, before he went into that house. I don't know if he would have had that kind of impact if he was making videos from New Jersey or an apartment or somewhere else. Maybe now that he's been doing it, but there's a combination of energies, the spirit of the person who lived there, your mentor, the woman that was there.
She never
And,
lived here, Aristo.
well, she worked from there, didn't she?
No, she never saw this place until after. She never saw this place. I didn't buy this till after she was gone.
Oh, really?
This
Oh,
She died on February 25th, 2005.
I thought you inherited it from her, some heritage
Well,
center.
it was an inheritance, but we had to split the property that was inherited between the Shriners and myself. Each of us were to get half of it, basically.
Oh, and so you built this house on top of that property?
I bought this house from the proceeds from the trust,
Oh, but she never lived there.
but she never even saw this place. And the
Oh,
place where she used to live now, the buildings have been torn down and a new home erected.
I
That was
see.
in 2011.
Okay. But in any case, there must be something with that place, because this woman was a powerful person. So she had impact, but that power was contained. It didn't spread out like yours is, like your influence is spreading out. There's always an esoteric meaning. And esoteric isn't strange. It just means there's a deeper meaning to appearances. Appearances are not just lies. I mean, they represent the truth. You cannot build a lie on a vacuum. You can't build lies upon lies upon. All lies are built upon other some truths. Truths are built upon one fundamental truth, as you say, the truth of I am, the truth of our existence. And it is not a neutral truth of just I know I'm here. This is a truth of the essence of our existence. The truth of our existence is meaningful because we are here and because we desire it to be meaningful. And the corollary, the extension of the truth of I am, is the truth of all our relations, the we are truth. So these two things, I was reading the Wingmaker's fifth interview,
Right.
and I hadn't read the whole thing, and I read some of the first stuff, and in the fifth one, comes out and says that all the four are just a story; they're not true. You know, a few truths in there, but basically it's just a metaphor in order to prepare you for the fifth one, which he released in 2014, just
Right. Yeah.
last year in
I
March.
printed it out and I have it somewhere.
Yeah. So, and essentially, after all the blah blah of the fourth, which is just some Star Trek story, the Borg are coming and I don't know what, which he admits is just a story, he has the next one, which seems to me like it has a whole different tone. But he says some basic things. It's a long interview, but it has some very, very basic things. First, the only truth, if you want to dispute everything and anything, the one thing you cannot dispute is your existence. That is not an illusion. It defies the very definition of illusion because it is. Consciousness is not just. Now, the establishment likes to, the intelligentsia likes to define consciousness as information gathering, nothing more. It's not. Consciousness is an experience of being. It's beingness, and it cannot be disputed. And it pisses them off that they can't turn that into a lie. They keep trying to. The only way to turn that into a lie is the transhumanist way, to alter our DNA, to alter our minds, to alter us, to doubt ourselves, to be blind to ourselves, to the point that we don't exist anymore to ourselves. But this truth will still be there. We still will exist. However, we will not validate it. We will not relate to it. And hence, that is the definition of a slave. A slave is somebody who does not act upon their own truth. Really. If you really think about it, it's not just being controlled by somebody else. If you are only acting on lies, then you are a slave. If you are acting on the truth, then you are free. If you are not free, then the truth shall set you free. If you are not free, then you are not acting on the truth. People think, but what if the truth makes us slaves? What if that's what the establishment tries to tell us? That's the big thing about psychopaths. They weave a lie so complicated and they make us doubt our own ability to sense the truth that ultimately we have to listen to the truth as an authority. The truth is not an authority. If the only true truth is that you exist, that you are, not just that you survive, but that your being is a meaningful thing, then you are not subjugated by your own being. It can't make that doesn't make sense. You are your being, thus you are sovereign. So there is no other authority over you if the truth is that I am. Now this is a sense, and if we want to cultivate discernment, I agree with the Wingmakers person saying that, if you want to cultivate sovereignty and discernment, then stick to that truth and base everything on that. Existence is not neutral because you have a sense of meaning and purpose. You are not just sitting there like a corpse. That would be neutrality. You are moving, you are motivated. You have aspirations, you have desires. Many religions try to destroy our desires, to say, forget about your desires, your sense of desiring. Why? Because it undermines your sense of being. And then they say, no, it enhances your sense of being. Up is down, in is out. What the those who have revelations and eventually they became religions were saying is that false assumptions, false desires, programmed impulses, these are what need to be released. The brainwashing needs to be dissolved, not our desired nature. So, how do I know the truth? Well, the very thing that they're trying to destroy and undermine is your sense organ of truth, your desired nature, your true desire, your sense of meaning. Upon this sense of what is meaningful, what you truly want, if you really, really look into your sense of being, and the sense of being is not just emptiness, that's the foundation. You don't live on a foundation, you build a house on it. Then it's not meaningful. You're undermining your sense of being if you just keep it as a foundation. The essence is meant to elaborate. Essence is meant to be given variation, to be given form, to be given substance. It is not meant to stay essence, otherwise, we wouldn't have this world. You don't make a mistake that lasts for billions and billions and billions of years, and constantly keep trying to perpetuate it because you want it, not because they're telling you to. They're twisting everything so much They're twisting everything so much that we are buying into this twisting and not trusting our true sense of being. So I'm saying here that the foundation of, truth is the foundation of solutions. This goes into the external solutions as well. Now, how does I am go into solutions? Well, I am is a sense of inherent essence of meaning. It's meaning without form. It's meaning without, some specific expression. It is the essence of meaning. Love is meaningful. Uh, Integrity is meaningful. If you don't have meaning, if you look at psychopaths, their lives are meaningless. What psychopaths want to do? They want to control. Why? They want to play games. Everything is gaming to them. If you look at how they operate, everything's a chessboard. Everything's a weird contest. Everything is competition. They have to test themselves against each other. Why? Because they don't have an inherent sense of meaning. They have nothing but an unrecognized shadow. They are not in touch with their being. They are the robots. We talk about aliens and lizards and this and that. It is all the metaphors our intuition tells us about what psychopathy is. A reptile that hasn't developed the higher brain centers and all of that, yet even the reptile is connected to nature and is connected to the web of life. Psychopaths are not. This is inherent in human evolution. Once you develop a sentient species, the probability of psychopathy is going to emerge. And that species is charged with healing that probability, with dissolving it and reconstituting it and evolving. Evolution is conscious mutation, but meaningful conscious mutation. Otherwise, humanity turns into a cancer. This is what we might call the risk of sentience. It's part of the process of what it means to be a truly infinite being made manifest. Now, the Wingmakers thing says even more basic things. It kind of criticizes all metaphysical systems, even though it's actually expressing fundamentals of metaphysical systems. So I'd be very careful about whatever anybody says, just like Cryon. There may be a few things that are useful, but you have to discern here. Because on one level it may work, on another level it may not work. Resist your government, yes, but don't resist your own nature. See, be accepting of your own nature, as you said, but when it comes to the external stuff, don't accept it, don't eat it up. But at the same time, you don't have to fight it physically. You don't have to tense against it. You can find that it's a reflection of the shadow. In that way, you artfully engage. So, artful engagement involves a combination of reception and resistance. It's not so easy, people. That's the whole thing. It requires creative sophistication. So, first, solutions must be based on truth, the truth of your meaningful being and your true aspirations. Going around saying all I want is just a couple of bucks and a house somewhere and live my life and, come on, that's not all you want. That's all you think you want. If you look beneath that, then what is keeping you from being motivated to more? Because that's not good enough at this point. Just wanting the basics and living a comfortable life and fuck the rest of the world is a denial of all your relations. Our essence of meaning, or I am, and it's not quite we are, because many people connect that to a we are one, some hive mind thing, and again undermine the individual. It's our relations. Our relations are. We are the center of all our relations from our perspective. And so that is also meaningful. What is going on with our relations? We have relations to sincere people, to well meaning people, to loving people. We have relations to not loving people, to psychopaths, to a sick system. All of these are our relations. So these need healing. And it comes back to our sense of I am. Is our sense of I am emergent in our relation? In other words, is our sense of meaningful being emergent in our relations? And what do we do then? Well, again, I believe in a practical way, let's put it this way, practically speaking, each of us has talents. Each of us has a predisposition. Those of you who think you can't do anything, then maybe you're more geared toward esoteric work, inner work. But if you're saying you can't do anything to avoid stress, then you're going to be imposed upon by the outside. And the outside is essentially going to make you cry out, why is this happening? Well, because you're not listening to yourself. You're not paying attention. If you are indeed geared to esoteric work, you're going to have to be facing the shadow, which may be, in somebody's eyes, even more stressful than facing lawyers and stuff like that. It's not going to be easy because we have a backlog of pain on this planet. We have to take responsibility for that. Whoever doesn't take responsibility for that is probably not going to make it. And I'm not going to mourn them because hopefully they'll be recycled back. That's fine. The point is, if you take responsibility, if you feel I'm too weak, then strengthen yourself or move to strengthen yourself. As I said before, again, the key to solution, another key is motive, means, opportunity. Those are the three elements of a crime, but they're also the three elements of solving things. Motivation. If you lack motivation, then you lack connection to your sense of being, because your sense of being automatically is connected to a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. What is meaningful to you? Is your life meaningful? Are you just an infant that wants a nipple in its mouth and or just to, I mean, even getting a 9 to 5 job and droning on and on, that's being an infant in my opinion. Your body may be working, but your soul is infantile. It's not creating, it's not doing it. You're not happy. You're not happy. When the parent is taken away from the infant is not happy. When the parent is taken away from the adolescent and the young adult, they are challenged, but they still can find happiness. They can create their happiness. It's not easy. It depends where in adolescence you are, how mature you are. So some people will realize in their souls that they are infants, they cannot or do not want to continue, and they will die. Now, the psychopaths want everybody to be like that because they are also beyond infants. They're embryos. They're aborted. As far as they're concerned, they lack a sense of being. But the psychopaths are going to harvest everybody who dies, who capitulates, and put them in their little astral matrix and turn them into I don't know what, weaponize them psychically, put them in a hellish afterlife or a contrived afterlife with some authoritarian god. Anything can happen. I mean, it depends on what you believe in. But the point is, death is not going to save you unless those who are responsible keep moving. What is the consensus on the planet? The consensus is you have a minority of psychopaths, a minority of motivated people who are evolving and transforming, and a majority of sleepers. Okay? The sleepers, the psychopaths are trying to make some of the sleepers psychopaths as well. But these are just fragmenting. You can't take a soul and turn it into a psychopath. Basically, you can just keep fragmenting it. They want to create so much suffering that the human spirit becomes mutated and then they can remake it. Who wants to remake it? Aliens, another god? I don't know. But it's psychopathic and that's what matters. It is not connected to the essence of being. Thus, it is not divine. So there can be creation degrading apart from the essence of being. This is not this may be a result of a creator's actions, but it's inherent in the very process of manifestation. Everything needs to be possible, even the worst possible scenario, so we can choose from every possibility the one we truly want, from the worst to the best and beyond. So we can create combinations that are surprising, that surprise even God, so God can surprise itself, you know. That's the way. This is the price we pay for wanting an unlimited creation, or a creation that is evolving toward unlimitedness. So we don't have to worry about why or how mistakes or this and that. All we have to worry about is solutions. And facing the shadow is beyond, To most people, it's going to be impossible. Those who are not awake simply do not want to. They're not motivated. They're afraid. So let's help the conditions on the inside become more favorable for them. A few people can make a difference because they're not just dealing with psychopaths, they're dealing with sleepers. So, on the one hand, those who are working on the inside can radically deal with the shadow, but they can also radically generate hope as they deal with the shadow because they are dealing with the shadow, and in spite of the fact that the shadow tries to create despair. So hope generated in a vacuum, like the New Age system or belief system in the past has done, is meaningless. No soul takes that kind of hope seriously. It's just hope, hope, hope. It sounds good temporarily because we want to fool ourselves. And then we get disappointed. True hope is always, in my honest opinion, generated in the presence of despair, in the presence of the possibility of despair. It says, what's the point of hope if that's not the case? You know, Hope is saying that you are not slated for defeat. So maybe there are those who, working on the inside or outside, are cheerleaders, but not cheerleaders from, participating cheerleaders. You cannot be a cheerleader like some pretty bimbo on the sidelines of a game. This is matrix thinking. You have to be in the thick of it so you're taken seriously. People want to see you overcoming stuff. And then they'll say, wow, this person is actually hopeful. So that means that they're actually putting their theories into practice, even if psychologically, because we're being mind controlled, people. We know that. So we need anti mind control. We need anti brainwashing. And the first step is to have motivation. Nothing is lost, anything is better than hell. So, but more importantly, our inner sense of being will not stand for it. So if you're going to give up, you have to give up yourself. Who's going to do that? That's what they want. So essentially, anything that asks you to do something, approach it from your sense of being. How does that feel? Really approach it and analyze it. Don't just rely on your intuition, rely on your analytical abilities. Use it or lose it because we are being dumbed down. And so, how do we counter being dumbed down? We wisen up. We wisen up by applying our understanding, our existing understanding. The Wingmakers thing just says, look, there are certain principles of the heart. Express these principles in action as behaviors, even if little behaviors. So he's got a point. He doesn't talk about the shadow and he doesn't talk about the divine feminine. He's more of a spiritually polarized viewpoint, in my opinion, a more mind-oriented viewpoint. But for many people, it's a very, very valuable element. For example, humility, forgiveness, what else? Understanding, uh, nonviolence, compassion, and valor, courage. Don't forget courage and valor. Valor is different than courage. Courage is if something comes and attacks you, you stand up to it. Valor is when you move through and do what must be done. Valor is the attribute of the hero, and a hero is not some exceptional individual, some noble. Noble means we're not like that. That's exceptional, and I'm just a commoner. I'm just the average slag, nothing, mud. No, we're all nobles because we're all unique. But at the same time, the term doesn't even apply if we awaken to our valor. Valor. We can become heroes in our own right. Solutions need to be done by heroes. Don't look at the stupid movies where you have to have superhuman abilities to be a hero. All you have to be is a genuine human. A genuine human is motivated to strive toward what is meaningful. If meaning lacks heart, then it is not meaningful. So psychopaths are not meaningful, period. Just look at what they're aspiring to. It's stupid. They're supposed to be having high IQs and they're aspiring to some stupid robot reality with no soul, no nothing, just sitting around playing games like a kid who's bored. That it's completely idiotic and insane, and not just idiotic, but just stupid. Couldn't you come up with something better than this? Standing on a throne with regalia, having robots fucking bow down to you? That's like a child fucking who's got nothing. A child in a prison. That's what they want to be, just a child in a prison. Their whole thing is to negate existence for everybody else as they have negated it for themselves, or it's been negated for them. So we deal with the shadow, we are actually undermining their sick motivation because that's the only thing that drives them, the shadow that we haven't reclaimed. So those of you who think you're too weak, who are afraid to deal with other people, who are just can't even get sit up straight, that's what your motivation needs to be able to sit up straight, to be able to touch your inner being, to be able to generate hope out of the despair that's clouded over you, even if you're not doing anything. And you will be helping the world when you do that. There are others, however, who have motivation, but who do not have the means. So how do we generate the means? It doesn't matter. The means are generated from your aspiration. As your relations come together, all our relations are energized by meaning, the means will come. The means are our creativity, first and foremost. Ron has the means using the internet. We have the means of communication. All we need to do is organize. That's the means. Organization will allow everybody to put their own 2 cents in. And 2 cents plus 2 cents plus 2 cents, you're going to have a treasure house of possibility. We know that. But we don't have to worry, in my honest opinion, of, oh, we're not enough, because we're defining the outcome before we even get there. So let's stay in the present. Some people are very well specialized to find solutions after the psychopaths are gone. Some people have very, insightful financial system knowledge. Some people have scientific knowledge, alternative energy, alternative medicine, all of these things, alternative education that can be mainstream. All of these things are well and good, but they won't work in the society as it stands because there are psychopaths. However, we should not. If people are motivated in that direction, I believe they should be encouraged. Other people are motivated toward spreading information, but they need to hone that ability better. They need to learn to inspire. They need to maybe even researching talking skills, maybe even NLP, or how to be able to deal with people, but always people from the heart. You can develop practical skills of communication or whatever, but not in an artificial matrix manner. Look to the matrix. It may be a junkyard as far as meaning is concerned, but even junkyards might have valuable things. Take out what you need from the matrix. It's there. The matrix isn't created out of a vacuum. It's created out of the refuse of our own denials. The matrix is creative out of our own fragmented essence. It is our own dreams put through the meat grinder. Let's take that meat, the hamburger, and turn it back into something meaningful. So we can do this. This planet is not an illusion. Our perception is illusionary. Our perception is embedded in lies because we have been taught to consume reality instead of creating it. That's why we don't create our own reality. We're reality consumers. Tell me what's real. Tell me what is. No, my sense of I am is real. Okay? And that creates my reality if I'm motivated and if I discover my means, my existing means, my inner means, and my outer means through all my relations. These are just a few pointers because I keep hearing people, oh, what do I do? Or we need to do this. What's this ambassador going to do? What's these other people going to do? Well, at least these people, wherever they're coming from, came up and said, we're going to do something. And then other people just criticize them. Fine, criticize them. But that means you have an alternative, right? You're not just waiting on your high chair like the judge at a football game and say, okay, or a tennis match and, whistling points and scores and stuff. Who's better and who isn't. Come up and do your part. Many people say, I want to do my part. Tell me what my part is. Nobody's going to tell you what your so-called part is. Where is your motivation? Where is your sense of being? Again, perhaps you're so beaten down or conditioned that you have no clue what it is. It may take years to discover. And here's another thing. We think time is running out. Time is always going to be there if you're living a purposeful life, a truly purposeful life. God makes time for those who aspire, those who put evolution first. Time runs out when you give up or are running around in circles, because then what's the point to your life? Not what's the point for somebody else, what's the point for you? And so I want to encourage people to find their own. Some people want to do things legally. Okay, legally, you know. But look at the whole legal system, what it is. If it's a lie, then you might want to go into the essence. How do you deal with lies? How do you actually take the truth of your being? And you might find yourself back to square one when you do that, because you might want to engage with the system, and you find out that you're engaging with lies, and you may say, okay, maybe I need to learn how to dance here, dance around the lies, because I am the truth. You are the truth. Your being is the truth. And you're dancing with lies. But the lies themselves are based on some kind of truth, even if the truth is one of denial. The truth is they're all denying their truth. Maybe you want to combine your own psychic will, your own sense of will, to actually say, this is the way the outcome's going to be. Or I open up to God and, I'm infused and I know the outcome's going to be in my favor no matter what. But I want to relieve the stress. So maybe your one operation is going to lead you to another one. You need to explore healing. You need to explore physical healing. You may need to explore all these things. The point is your life is moving, and what you're doing for yourself can have impact for others. Some people are very group oriented. If you're group oriented, you're going to come into problems like conflicts with the group. You're going to come into problems of apparent self interest, conditioned self interest, because true self interest combines the truth of I am with the truth of all our relations. So if there are problems there, then you're challenged to deal with another area of life. See, all of a sudden we're dealing with areas of life. Our plate is forcing us to deal with these areas, and where we may think, my God, I wish I could just stop dealing with this so I could find the solution. But here you are finding the solution. Here you are creating solutions by dealing with the problems. You cannot find a solution. Most of us seem to want solutions so we don't have to face problems. That's the problem. You know, we don't even have to say we are our own saviors. That's kind of a contradiction in terms, because if somebody has to save me and it has to be me, then, it's kind of confusing. We still put ourselves in an inferior position. The point is, we are capable. There's a part of us that is the healer, that is the hero. That part is not perfect, it's not indomitable. Whoever said an adventure is supposed to be fun? If you've ever lived, we can read about adventures and see it in the movies, but look at what the hero goes through, a whole bunch of crap. But the point is, they get stronger because they learn to discern the difference between the crap that's necessary, like facing the shadow, and the crap that's not necessary, which is what the lies are trying to tell us. So discernment cannot be cultivated without engagement, which means behavior, doing something, anything, anything, even being aware of your behavior, of how you feel, and how you're acting in your own life, even if you live alone. So some people are into group activity. Well, then master group activity. One, inspire other people somehow. And that may lead you to square one again. I can't even inspire myself. So what? It's a start. I mean, if you have to go back to square one, then at least you're being honest. We can't do this without honesty, people. We have to be honest with ourselves, even if we have to go back to square one again and again and again. That's fine, because once you get done with square one, you may jump over to square 100 and find that you can understand group dynamics, that you can, and maybe you're not the type that come up with organizational plans, but if you can inspire, somebody else will come up with organizational plans. If you can give hope, somebody else might be able to inspire the others to come up with organizational plans. Often it's not visible what we do or what we need to do. It doesn't have to be. We just have to be right with it. So I'm telling everybody out there, esoteric or not, I'm saying the esoteric dynamic is a foundation, because it comes down to the I am fundamental of self-meaning and meaning of relations. And everything else can be twisted. So if you take out the esoteric, then you're at the mercy of the matrix. I'm not saying just stay esoteric because that's what the matrix says. The matrix says inner work is isolation from the world, hermits and this and that and the other. That may be necessary for those who need to go to square one and see humility is also a necessity here, because a humble person can say, I'm cool with square one as long as it gets me moving, as long as it gets me going to the solution path. Then whether it's square one or square 100, I'm moving. And as long as I'm moving, God will provide. If I'm not moving, God is saying, well, why are you here? Because this is the timeline of the transformation. If you're not up to the transformation, you might as well sit on the sidelines of reality and wait with all the other souls who decided to wait and observe. The souls, whether they're ETs or this, that, or the other, that don't participate, are not up to the task. They can't. They do what they can, but this is a heavy, heavy, heavy task. And we're not carrying it as a burden so much. We're opening to embody it. There's a difference. We're generating it. We're generating a whole reality. We are creating a reality by engaging with with something that negates existence, negates meaning, says it's all meaningless. So the psychopaths are driven by a lie. They're driven by the lie that their existence is meaningful. They, once we, those of us, all of us who are real and sincere and connected to our I am, affirm it enough, they will have to either face the lie or the lie will crumble on them and they will not support their reality. Their reality is based on our denials. I don't care how else you look at it, but if you look at the way they've been acting, you can come up with all kinds of excuses for them. I see people coming up, oh, they're just playing with us. Oh, they're just this. Oh, they're powerful. Oh, why are you coming up with excuses for psychopaths? Why aren't you spending your mental energy coming up for solutions for yourself? Moving to your motivation, because there's a fear of facing the shadow that's overwhelming. That doesn't even register as fear. It registers as mental gymnastics, coming up with different explanations that don't involve facing the shadow for real. Everybody who has faced the shadow, even for a second, knows how challenging it is. They know it. This is like facing something from inside of you that wants to kill you, that hates your guts, and that has the capability to block everything else from your perception, but it's reality. But that's only temporary because your I am is never blocked. So reinforce that connection. That's what meditation is supposed to do. It's not supposed to quiet the mind. It's supposed to connect you with your sense of presence, of being. And it's not just a mental sense. It's a heartfelt, body felt, whole, full, sensate presence. And it extends to all our relations. If we have this sense of presence when we relate to other people, we'll find out how hard that is too. Once if you're able to get your own sense of presence, imagine trying to keep it with another person. Because then you challenge them to face their shadow because they resonate. They're forced to face their sense of presence, and then all of their issues come up. They may not like you, you know. So you have to face that too. There's a whole shitload of stuff that we have to face. Okay, so there's never a dull moment. There's no reason to sit back and be hopeless because we're too busy. Okay, there's too much to do. And we can find how much there is to do but just by just facing our plate. Because once we master our means to a certain point, then we have opportunity arising. Opportunity is the final element of discovering solutions. And then we have the courage and the valor to grasp opportunity. Otherwise, we have to let it go because we're simply not ready. And that's okay. But as long as we are purposeful, God will make time. Don't look at those despairing parts and the tortured areas of the world. They are being used for us who are listening, who are not in them, also as examples of despair. They are being used as harvested suffering energy to attack us. But they are also opportunities to absorb the shadow, and that is the best way to alleviate their suffering. Because if we absorb the shadow, then the courage we generate when we do so goes to the suffering people, and they can fight back as they know how. So there is meaning and there is purpose, people. It is practical. We can find solutions, but we need to engage in our own way. Sometimes we need to bitch at other people to engage, but that never helped me. People bitch at me, I never did anything. I have to realize it myself. So I'm not going to bitch. I'm basically going to encourage people to go within and talk to their being and say, okay, is this meaningful? Okay, it's not. But there's no way it's just going to pop up without me. I have to engage. How do I want to engage? And then go back to everything I said in this video, which I don't even remember quite, but just go back and look at some of these pieces of advice and see if they do apply to you. And if they don't, ask for your own advice, ask for your own guidance, but not as from another person, even from God as an external dynamic or a master or whatever. We're done with masters. We're done with masters, ascended, descendant, whatever. We're sovereign here. Let's be sovereign. Being sovereign begins at home by owning your sense of being and then extending that to all your relations as you feel is right for you. Thank you for your patience in this long and confusing talk. I hope it made sense to you, and I hope you can apply it in some way.
I
Thank you.
chose a title,
Oh, yeah, what is it?
Surprising God.
I think it is. I think it is. Although, exactly.
That when you said that, that jumped out. I put it up at the top of the page.
Yeah, well, that's good. It fits. It fits. And I encourage people. Okay, don't turn off the video yet, people. We're not done. I encourage people to look at this title and see how it applies to everything that's being said in the video. You may have to listen to this video more than once if you really want it to sink in, because it does have some practical advice embedded in it. It does, at least in my honest opinion. And that's it.
Okay, now we can say the final.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Namaste. Bye for now. Exactly.
Thanks, Aristo.